One of the most popular items to sell on Printify is their mugs. So in this video, I'll go over how I create top selling mug designs. Let's get into it. So the very first thing that's really important to do is to just base everything out of research. That's what I always tend to do, and that's what I've always garnered success from. So the first thing that we gotta do is to analyze some shops. So let's go broad here and just search for mug. Now, what I always do is that I use my trusty Everbee here, but the first thing before I do that is that I go to filters. Since I live in Sweden, it usually like auto filters to ship to Sweden. So I got adjusted to the US, since the US is my target market. I sort by physical items, and then I click the star seller badge here. Then I go to the search bar, I swap out star for best. What this does is that it only gives us the best sellers for a given niche. What we actually want to find here is that we want to find shops that we want to be like. So I've actually prepared here a couple of shops that I want to be like. Yeah, so 4 shops that I've basically selected here. They will be blurred as I don't want to out any of my fellow Etsy sellers. I hope you can understand that. But I searched for mug, and then I found shops that like, if I were to do the sales that they do a month approximately, I'd be happy. So I've selected 4 of those shops. In an ideal world, you want 5 to 10 of those shops, and to be really carefully selected so that you have data that you can really rely on. I've pre-selected some shops here, and I've just searched for mug in the search bar. I use Everbee to get a projection of how much these listings makes a month to speed up the process. If you don't want to use Everbee, you don't have to. You can just sort this by bestsellers like I did. The thing that's really important to do here now is to look at the review count, for instance here, and here, and to not like select super new shops, and most importantly, not like super old shops. You want to find shops that has been successful within like 1 to 3 years for that in that span. So you can gauge that, okay, you can get this amount of sales in this amount of time. So they have to be new shops, and that's really important. If you want to see a full video on that, I've made that previously, and you can watch that here. That goes through the nitty-gritty of niche research and every step of it. But I've pre-selected 4 shops for the research for this video. What you then do is that you go to the Analyze Shop button here. Usually always look like this. And then you press Analyze All Listings, and then you press Export, and then Everbee will email a CSV file to your email. I've done this already for all 4 shops. What you then do is that you go to Google Sheets. This is completely free, so you just open a new Google Sheets file, like here, and then you just press File, and then Import, and then you go up to Upload here. And after that, you just import the CSV files that you got from Everbee into here. What you then have is that you will get 1 CSV file for each shop. But after that, you will just put all the information from each CSV into just 1 Google Sheet file. So just 1 Google Sheets here. That's exactly what I've done here. And after that, I just press Command A, and then Command A again. On Windows, I think it's Control A and then Control A again. And then you press Data and create a filter. So you do that here. And then you can, all of these headings here basically get filters on them. And then you just press Estimated Total Sales, sort by Z to A. What this does is that it takes all the info from all of the shops that we've just gathered, and then it sorts them by which listings has the most projected sales basically, which is really powerful, because then you can just go through these and see which of these you should like make your own version of, and see where you can add value. So this is step 1, to just analyze the shops, to just get the master list. Now, step 2 here is to actually create a best-selling elements list. So if we just look at some of these listings here, let's take this one, let's take this one. So what we want to find here is find elements that are basically, we want to see common denominators within the listing, so that we can just see that okay, this type of font, this type of element is selling well in multiple types of listings, and how we can actually combine them and to create something new. But we want to have a list basically of elements that are being used in designs that are selling overall. So let's see if we can find that here with these 3 to start off. So first off, we can see that this is kind of a cursive font 2, cursive font 2. So we can definitely see here that let's just create a list here. The cursive font is doing super well. Let's see what else we can do. Let's take some more out of this master list. Honestly, actually, this can be quite a good thing because you can take inspiration from other product categories and they just implement that within, like for instance, mugs. So if we just take the top one here, and that's really similar to the one that we just saw. Let's take this one. Let's take this one. Let's take this one. Okay, this isn't in German, I think, but the elements is what we need to take the inspiration of. So this is really simple. All of these have some elements basically that are selling super well. Like it's either like a dog, it's some kind of animal here, or it's another dog here. So basically, let's do some more to just get a better sense of this whole thing. This is a Christmas version of it, of this, which is really good since Q4 is coming up as this video will come out. Rainbow seems to be doing super well too. Yeah, same here. In this product category, this is not the same as the mugs, but this can still be implemented on mugs. So we have two here with just rainbows in a name. Another one with a rainbow. And all of these watercolor animals. So one thing that one of these shops are doing really well is just watercolor animals. In lots of listings, it's selling super well. So like we got this one, we have this one, the same type of vibe. So I'll just write up watercolored animals. Let's see if we can find one more element so we can combine something. Yes, let's see if we can find some Christmas stuff. A really good thing that I've found is that we can just, yes, the rainbows. Sorry, the rainbows. Rainbows is the second one that we found. Okay, so now we have a best-selling elements list. In an ideal world, you'd want some more elements to just have more to choose from. But for this video, I'll start off with these three. Now, the most important thing to know here is that even before we even do any type of design or anything like that, is that we have to add value to the niches that we're looking at. A lot of these niches that we looked at were the pet niche. So something that just came top of mind is that Q4 is coming up. So combining, for instance, Christmas with the custom pet mugs could be a huge opportunity. So let's just take some of these off to just easier here. Let's keep some of them. Okay, so let's see here. Custom pet mug is our keyword here. Filter this to the United States. So we're looking at the correct target market. Sort by star seller. Swap out star for best in the search bar. And now we'll use our trusty old Everbee to see here. Sort this by total sales. Actually, let's not use Everbee at the moment, actually. Let's just look at the first page here and see where we can add some value. Let's search also for what I just talked about, which was custom Christmas pet mug. Perfect. Star seller. Not so many. Since it's not Christmas yet, I mean, I'm filming this in late August, so it might not be that much yet. So let's just keep it to what I searched on before, which was custom pet mug, I think. Custom pet mug, sort it and add the star seller filter. Swap star for best. Okay, how can we add value to this niche? By the research that we just did. We know that the cursive, the font, watercolor animals, and rainbows works super well. So what we then can do here is that if we just look at this, we can, just from at the top of my head, what I would do basically is that I would just take, for instance, a lot of these are using like photos I see. What we could do here is just like this one, for instance, all of these are using the pet photos. That seems to be like one of the key things that actually makes this sell. So that seems to be a really important distinction here. So we got to use the pet, like the photos, and we also got to use a name, but we can basically use, we haven't used any rainbows. So let's see if we can just go to create Fabrica here to just get some rainbows. Yeah, I think I have an idea. Let's, for instance, let's take this one. And importantly, you need a commercial or full POD usage to do this. There's a link in the description if you want to use this. Same thing with Everbee. There's a link in the description if you want to use Everbee as well. Now let's head to Canva. Let's create a design. And 4500 by 5400 pixels is what I always use. Let's get these SVGs. So what I'm thinking of is maybe do something like this. We know that the rainbows were selling super well. So what we then could do is just ask for a photo for the customer. we can then use we need a cursive font here. Let's see here, cursive font. Sort this by font so we don't get SVGs. I have this signature one that I've downloaded previously, so I'll just use that. Let's press T to add a text layer. You go here, I just search for signature, and then we can just write Charlie or something like this. I think we need some more distance here. Yeah, let's do something like this. And then when we get the photo of the dog itself, let's use Creative Fabrica for this as well. When we get the photo of this specific dog, yeah, no rainbows and dogs, and then the custom name is that we could do this. We could go here, and then we could just, for instance, let's take this one. This one looks cute. Let's remove the text, and I think it's gonna be too small. Yeah, one of the most important things about design overall is that it has to be very clear. You can't make things super small, as the most important thing is that it's actually clear. So let's see if I can find another rainbow, and let's see here. Let's use a PNG instead of the same one, and this one has the resolution of, let's see here, can you see? Okay, let's just use this one for this. The most important thing that I wanted to look at is that it has to have a DPI of 300. So usually a resolution of like 4500 or 5400 or like 3000 by 3000 at minimum. That's really important to have to make sure that the end result will look clear and not crisp. So we just go to Canva here. I'll just erase this part. We go back, and then we can just make it look like this. So this would be the customer's own photo in this instance. And this would be one of the designs, for instance. The thinking here is basically, the rainbows were a best-selling element, and the cursive font is a best-selling element. And within this, you'd want one of the most important parts that I saw here was that you needed the custom photo from the customer. So you would use that instead of this actual image here. And if it were an image like this, for instance, like take this one just for the heck of it to make it a bit more clear here. I mean, usually with like JPEGs and stuff like that, you have a background, but the great thing about Canva is that you can just take background remover. This page has to be in Swedish, sorry for that, but this one is called background remover basically. You can use that and then just implement this, for instance, here. So this is probably more how it would look like in real life. And the most important thing is that the file itself here has to be 300 dpi or more, otherwise you kind of have to upscale it. Always the best option in my opinion is to always just get a high resolution photo from the customer to get the best end product that it can be. But yeah, this would be how I would create one design for the custom pet niche. And now the most important part about this is that let's say that this specific design actually sells really well. Then I would not like branch out into different niches. I would continue to just go heavily into the custom pet niche. So instead of, for instance, if we know that this type of design works really well, what happens if we use watercolor rainbow? Okay, rainbow watercolor. So the thinking here is basically, what if we just combine different elements again, like basing it out of this design, but just flipping things around to create something new within the same niche. So one thing could be to make, for instance, get a watercolored rainbow instead. So for instance, use something like this instead, since we knew that the watercolored thing worked very well. Apart from that, let's see if we can just take this here and make a watercolored version of it. Okay, so one thing that you can actually do here, for instance, we know that the watercolored animals too work super well. So we can take this picture that we got from the customer and make a version of it where the animal itself is actually in a watercolor. Okay, so basically I use the AI here, and then we can just take this and make a watercolor version of it. Let's see here if this works. But the whole thinking here is to make this image that we get from the customer into a watercolored version of it. So let's see if we can get any good ones here. The closest one I think is this one, and there's probably honestly a better way to do it in Canva. I don't know how to do it exactly at this specific point. It just came top of mind honestly, but this kind of looks like it instead of this. So it kind of looks like that. But the whole thing is to just take, like we knew that the watercolored animals worked. It was also a best-selling element. So what we can then do is just take the image from the customer, make a version like this, for instance, where it's more of a watercolor version, put that up on Etsy. Then we're actually doubling down, adding more value to the niche, since now you can get a watercolored version of the already best-selling design that you already have. All right, so if you like this video, then I suggest that you watch my niche research video, which you can find here. I kind of touch on it in this video, but I don't go into it fully, which I do in the video up here. Anyhow, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.